Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle.
Zimbabwe's rural population relies mainly on their own food production for food security. Although agriculture remains a key livelihoods activity for the majority of Zimbabwe's rural population, production of major crops in the 2015 to 2016 cropping season continued to fall from 2014 to 2015 season's harvest, mainly because of poor and erratic rainfall pattern. The diocese, especially Mashonaland Central Province, barely received sufficient water for maize crop, as revealed from focus group discussions that 90% of the households did not harvest any cereals. The majority of the affected populations are in areas that lie mainly in agroecological zones 4 and 5 of Zimbabwe, where the eastern deanery of the diocese lays. Rural households' diets are of low diversity and largely unbalanced and dominated by high carbohydrate intake at the expense of protein-rich foods. Hence the need for support and promotion of the consumption of a balanced diet, especially during the hunger periods. On the 27th of June 2017, the distribution of the food hampers conceded with the shelling of maize transpired at Chitsimbo Mission. About 250 people participated in the maize shelling, of which 3/4 were women. Out of this number, 19 representatives from the outstations were selected for an interview, 16 of which being males and 3 were females. Father Samuel Nyadzayo was appointed interpreter for those who chose to express themselves in the vernacular. The questions asked by the funding partners centered mainly on how the food distribution project had helped the families of the beneficiaries and the problems bedeviling the parish and the communities. On a positive note, the Food for Work project helped many families, such that children were able to attend school at least after having eaten something at home. The parents also managed to tend the fields with a full stomach. Because of food shortages, most families had 1 meal per day, but thanks to the food distribution program, the beneficiaries are now having at least 2 meals per day. Because of poor rains received, most families survive with casual labor, like picking cotton, shelling maize or groundnuts, and the transactions are usually through barter trading due to the liquidity crunch experienced in the country. To make sure the food received lasts long, the beneficiaries used the technique of food rationing.
Audio Jungle. Audio
The following were their sentiments. The biggest challenge is of transport. The transport network system is so bad and some roads are impassable. Thus, on numerous occasions, people have to walk for longer distances, for example, about 20 kilometers to get services such as health and education. The nearest transferal hospital is Guruhe, which is located about 70 kilometers from Chitsungo. In addition, the Danda Valley is located in Natural Region 5. On the other hand, inasmuch as the people are willing to work, the old tractor used at the mission's farm has seen all the days and is expensive to maintain. These curtails down the farming operations. Inasmuch as the maize crop planted in the mission field was affected by armyworm, the mission is expecting more than 10 tons of maize. On the following day, out of the 20 outstations in Muzarabani, 13 representatives, 10 male and 3 female, managed to attend the meeting. In outstations like Hoya and Kaitano, the project targeted elderly people, especially those who were not benefiting from any food project. The following activities were done as per outstation, depending on the needs of the respective place. In Shumbuwe, St. Paul Center, pit latrines have been constructed. In Kaitano, a 2-bedroomed guest house was renovated, and the parishioners have started a goat and chicken project earmarked to raise funds for fuel provision of the monthly masses. St. Monica, Machaya, has ventured into a groundnut project whose proceeds will feed into the parish coffers for the sustenance of the same. At the main center, Moyom Sande, the building of the parish hall is at an advanced stage, with only the roofing and plastering left. The project was a lifesaver in a dire situation. Due to the previous El Nino-induced drought, much livestock perished and many families had nothing to buffer against the shocks of hunger. Had it not been the provision of food to the affected families, negative coping mechanisms could have been rife in the area. For example, cases of early marriages, prostitution, and thieving. The project saw an increase in the number of church attendees, translating to an increase of tithes. However, like any other place in Zimbabwe, the parish is not spared by the cash liquidity crunch, which is affecting the smooth running of the parish. Benefits of the food program. More people are now coming to church. The working together also acted as a platform for conflict resolution. Outstations like Kasua and Kanyemba managed to construct pit latrines. Mahue Outstation managed to construct a shade to be used as a church. Recommendations. There is need for an early recovery program, which will focus on the provision of farming inputs, such as sorghum and groundnut seeds, to the beneficiaries. Funds permitting, there is greater need of a reliable new tractor. Recommendations from Zarabani. There is need for a livelihood project which can sustain the lives of the vulnerable people, and for a borehole at Kaitano Center. The food project was generally a success and helped very much in alleviating hunger to the targeted families. Since the project had a food for work concept, the targeted parishes have had improved infrastructures, particularly in the outstations. Funds permitting, there is great need to embark on viable grassroots projects which can be sustained.
I'm Father Walter Senyeka from Caritas Chinhoyi. I'm the development coordinator of Caritas Commission. And on the food project, which we implemented in the 5 parishes of Chinhoyi, we chose Chitsungo Mission, Zarabani, Mount Darren, St. Rita, and Marymount Mission. These are the areas which are in Natural Region 4 and 5, and usually they receive below minimal. Instead of just giving them the food, since it was a food project, what we had to do was to introduce a food for work concept, where we said they have their needs in their parishes, and what is needed is, after handing them the food, what can they do in their parishes to improve their parishes and missions. And as such, we noted that after giving them the food, they had different works which they were doing according to the needs, the respective needs of their parishes, and these included farming in some of the outstations, some of the missions like Chitsungo. We had also building of toilets in the outstations. Also had the maintenance of roads to the outstations. And really the people appreciated the help which they were being given by Caritas together with our partners, the Jesuit missions. And at the end of the project, there was much taken place. In as much as we had challenges looking at maybe the food which we were handing over to the parishes, that it was like a drop in the ocean. But those who were helped, actually the vulnerable, it was very good because we targeted those who are physically challenged, the terminally ill, the orphans, vulnerable children and orphans, and also even those who were not able to fend for themselves. And then at the end of the day, we also looked at what can be done, because this was a project which came and it was more like relieving them from hunger. But we have to release people from poverty. And they suggested so many interventions, especially looking at their areas of staying, that they would rather need maybe livelihoods projects like maybe the growing of small crops like sorghum, like millet, like cowpeas. Since these are the driest areas of Zimbabwe, such crops are tolerant to drought. And we're hoping maybe after the visit which was done by Judith, maybe there is a chance that we may be able to get a bit of funding so that we can provide them with the inputs, and then maybe at the end of the day they are able to sustainably fend for their